Good morning and welcome to Daily Briefing. I'm Alex.
And I'm Sarah. June 25th, 2026.
Today we're tracking a devastating 7.5 magnitude earthquake in Venezuela and a massive intellectual property fight between U.S. and Chinese AI giants. Plus, if you're stepping out in Parker, Colorado today, it's currently 60 degrees and overcast, heading for a high of 68 with an 11-mile-per-hour wind.
Perfect weather to stay inside and catch up on the news. Let's get into it.
All right, turning to U.S. news, we have to start with a really disturbing story out of the NFL.
Detroit Lions cornerback Terrion Arnold has been arrested, and the charges are incredibly severe. He's facing counts of kidnapping and robbery.
The details are still emerging from local authorities, but these are violent felonies that carry massive prison sentences. This isn't a standard off-season misdemeanor.
It completely blindsided the Lions organization. Arnold was supposed to be a foundational piece of their secondary this year.
Right, and training camp is just around the corner. The timing leaves Detroit scrambling to figure out their defensive depth chart.
The legal process has to play out, but you've got to assume the NFL is going to act quickly here.
They almost always place players facing violent felony charges on the commissioner's exempt list while the investigation continues.
Which means his football career is effectively on hold, and honestly, that's the least of his worries right now.
We'll be watching closely to see if the Lions release a formal statement today, or if they wait for more facts to come out.
It's just a tragic situation all around, especially for the victims involved in the alleged incident.
Sticking with sports, but moving to the NHL, we saw a blockbuster trade late last night.
The Washington Capitals acquired forward Alex Tuch from the Buffalo Sabres, and they didn't waste any time locking him up.
They immediately signed him to an 8-year, $84 million contract extension.
That $10.5 million annual cap hit is huge. Washington is clearly betting the franchise's offensive future on him.
They had to make a move like this. With their veteran core aging out, they desperately needed a proven top-line scorer.
Tuch brings size, speed, and consistent goal scoring. But an 8-year term for a player who plays as physical as he does carries real risk.
It does, but that's the price of doing business in the NHL right now. If you want elite talent, you have to give them max term.
On the other side, Buffalo fans are devastated. Tuch was a fan favorite and a major part of their locker room culture.
The Sabres get a ton of salary cap flexibility, but you can't easily replace a player who brings that much energy to the ice.
Washington fans are thrilled, though. He steps right onto their top power play unit on day one.
Let's pivot to the World Cup, because history was made on the pitch yesterday.
South Africa reached the knockout round for the very first time in their nation's history, pulling off a dramatic 1-0 win over South Korea.
The scenes in the stadium and back in Johannesburg were just electric. This is a monumental milestone for their football development.
They played an incredibly disciplined game. After getting that early goal, they essentially built a wall across the midfield.
South Korea threw absolutely everything at them in the second half, but the South African defense refused to break.
It's exactly the kind of gritty, tactical performance you need to survive the group stage. The heartbreak.
They did, but South Africa earned every bit of this victory. They're going to be a dangerous underdog in the round of 16.
I can't wait to see who they draw next. The whole continent is going to be rallying behind them.
In another World Cup matchup, the co-hosts are looking absolutely unstoppable.
Mexico dismantled Czechia 3-0, keeping their perfect record intact for the tournament.
The real story here was veteran goalkeeper Guillermo Ochoa making yet another milestone World Cup appearance.
The man is practically a myth at this point. Every 4 years, he shows up and plays out of his mind.
He made 2 point-blank saves in the first half that completely broke Czechia's momentum.
And the Mexican offense capitalized immediately. Playing on home soil has given this squad an incredible surge of energy.
The crowd noise alone is intimidating. Czechia looked visibly rattled by the atmosphere in that stadium.
Mexico's transition game is looking sharp, too. They're turning defensive stops into scoring chances within seconds.
If they keep playing with this level of cohesion, they're genuine contenders to make a very deep run.
Nobody wants to face them right now, especially with Ochoa playing like he's 10 years younger.
And we can't talk about World Cup favorites without mentioning Brazil.
They cruised to an easy victory over Scotland, driven by two spectacular goals from Vinicius Jr.
Vinicius is in Ballon d'Or form right now. His footwork on that second goal left 3 Scottish defenders completely frozen.
But the biggest headline for Brazil was the return of Neymar to the starting lineup.
Seeing him back on the pitch changes the entire geometry of their attack. He draws so much attention from the defense.
Scotland tried to play physical and disrupt their rhythm, but Brazil's passing was just too precise.
Their depth is honestly terrifying. When they needed fresh legs, they brought on world-class forwards that would start for any other nation.
It sends a clear message to the rest of the tournament. Brazil is healthy, they're clicking, and they're here for the trophy.
Scotland fought hard, but they were simply outclassed by a team with championship DNA.
It's going to take a tactical masterclass from someone to knock this Brazilian team out.
Shifting gears to entertainment. Tomorrow,
the final season of The Bear drops, and we're finally going to see the aftermath of Carmi's bombshell decision.
Seasons 1 through 4 have been an absolute masterclass in anxiety-inducing, brilliant storytelling.
Yahoo just published a massive recap of the entire series, which is required reading if you've forgotten where we left off.
I definitely need the refresher. Between the restaurant's precarious funding and Sydney's career crossroads, there are so many loose ends.
The cultural impact of this show has been wild. It completely changed how people talk about kitchen culture and the restaurant industry.
It's going to be tough saying goodbye to these characters. They're so flawed, but you root for them so hard.
I'm just glad the creators are ending it on their own terms rather than dragging it out for 3 more seasons.
Same here. I'm clearing my schedule this weekend to binge the whole thing before the internet spoils the ending. Coming up, we have some heavy developments on the global stage. Turning to global news, an absolute tragedy is unfolding in South America today.
Venezuela has been struck by 2 major earthquakes, including a devastating magnitude 7.5 shock.
According to Wired, this is the strongest earthquake to hit the country in over 125 years.
The epicenter was in the northwestern regions, and local authorities fear that thousands of people may be dead.
The images coming out of the area are heartbreaking. Entire city blocks have been reduced to rubble.
What makes this even worse is Venezuela's existing infrastructure crisis. Their emergency services were already stretched incredibly thin.
And that's the thing. They lack the heavy machinery needed to move concrete and reach people trapped in collapsed buildings.
International aid organizations are mobilizing, but navigating the political situation to get supplies on the ground is proving difficult.
Neighboring countries are offering assistance, but the first 72 hours are critical for search and rescue.
We'll keep tracking this, but the death toll is unfortunately expected to rise significantly in the coming days.
In the Middle East, a new report is generating intense international fallout.
A United Nations commission has formally accused Israel of deliberately targeting Palestinian children during its military operations in Gaza.
The Washington Post notes that this specific phrasing, deliberately targeting, carries massive legal weight.
It's going to drastically intensify the scrutiny on Israel's military conduct at both the International Criminal Court and the International Court of Justice.
Israeli officials are expected to fiercely reject the findings, likely citing the complexities of urban warfare and the use of human shields.
But having these allegations formally documented by a UN commission puts immense diplomatic pressure on Israel's allies.
Washington is going to be forced to respond to this report, and it will likely complicate ongoing military aid discussions.
The diplomatic arguments over the Commission's methodology are going to dominate UN sessions for the foreseeable future.
It's a stark escalation in the legal and narrative battle surrounding the conflict.
And it ensures that the conduct of this war will be tied up in international courts for years to come.
Down in Australia, the country's intelligence chief just dropped a bombshell regarding foreign interference.
He revealed that Iranian agents lived covertly within Australia before attempting to orchestrate attacks in Sydney and Melbourne.
The Associated Press reports that these operatives were deeply embedded, living seemingly normal lives while taking direct orders from Tehran.
It's a terrifying example of transnational repression operating right on democratic soil.
Australia's Security Intelligence Organization, going public with this, is a very deliberate warning shot to the Iranian government.
They want Iran to know that their networks have been compromised and are being actively dismantled.
It also raises serious questions about the visa and vetting processes that allowed these agents into the country in the first place.
Other Western democracies are likely reviewing their own intelligence now to see if similar sleeper cells exist within their borders.
This kind of state-sponsored espionage is becoming increasingly brazen, and Australia is drawing a hard line.
We can expect some quiet, or perhaps very loud, diplomatic expulsions in the coming weeks.
Over in Eastern Europe, Russian President Vladimir Putin is making a public push for peace talks with Ukraine.
The Independent is reporting on this, and analysts are highly skeptical of Moscow's strategic timing.
It's not a coincidence.
Russia has made incremental but costly territorial gains in the east over the last few months.
By calling for a ceasefire now, Putin is trying to lock in those new borders before Ukrainian forces are fully resupplied.
Ukraine has been steadfast in refusing to cede any territory, so these talks are essentially a non-starter for them.
It's a calculated.
It puts pressure on Western leaders who are dealing with domestic war fatigue to force Ukraine to the negotiating table.
But until the battlefield dynamics shift, genuine diplomatic progress seems virtually impossible.
Let's take a quick look at some key stories out of India.
Starting with a massive diplomatic development between New Delhi and Ottawa.
For the first time, Canada has officially acknowledged that Khalistani extremists planted the bomb on Air India Flight 182 back in 1985.
India Today highlights this as a major victory for India, which has spent decades demanding Canada recognize the extremist elements operating there.
This admission could fundamentally shift the current diplomatic tensions between the two nations regarding separatist groups.
In business news, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy just held a high-stakes meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Jassy announced plans to invest an additional $13 billion in India's cloud and AI infrastructure by 2030.
The Hindu notes this massive capital injection proves just how critical India's tech talent pool is to Amazon's global AI strategy.
It's a huge vote of confidence in India's digital economy.
And a grim update in a high-profile homicide investigation out of Pune.
NDTV has released chilling CCTV footage of suspect Sia Goyal having a cafe rendezvous with her boyfriend.
The video was...
When we come back, we'll dive into the markets and a sudden drop in global oil prices.
Let's talk markets.
Global benchmark Brent crude oil prices have fallen all the way back to pre-Iran war levels.
The price briefly dropped below $72.48 a barrel this morning.
According to BBC Business, this massive relief rally is tied directly to shipping traffic resuming through the Strait of Hormuz.
That waterway is the ultimate choke point. When tankers stop moving there, the entire global supply chain panics.
Now that the immediate geopolitical threat to those shipments is easing, the risk premium on oil is evaporating.
This is fantastic news for central banks fighting inflation. Cheaper energy costs ripple through the entire economy.
Consumers should start seeing relief at the gas pump within the next few weeks if this price level holds.
The question is whether OPEC will step in with production cuts to artificially prop the price back up.
They might, but for now, the markets are breathing a massive sigh of relief.
In the prediction market space, CalSure is making an incredibly aggressive financial move.
They're reportedly targeting a massive $40 billion valuation in their latest funding round.
CoinDesk points out that this would nearly double their previous valuation, which is staggering growth.
It's a direct shot at their main rival, Polymarket. CalSure wants to build an insurmountable war chest.
Prediction markets have seen explosive trading volume driven by the 2026 election cycle.
Institutional money is pouring in, and CalSure wants to position itself as the undisputed market leader ahead of a 2027 public debut.
If they secure this funding, they can outspend Polymarket on user acquisition and regulatory compliance.
It's a high-stakes race to legitimize and dominate a completely new asset class.
Over in the aviation sector, EasyJet is playing hardball with private equity.
The airline just rejected a fourth takeover bid from U.S. investment firm Castlelake, this one valued at £4.93 billion.
EasyJet's board clearly believes the company is deeply undervalued by these offers.
They've now given Castlelake a strict deadline: make a final, compelling offer or walk away from the table entirely.
European budget airlines are highly coveted assets right now, and EasyJet knows they hold the leverage.
Castlelake has to decide if they want to pay a premium or look for a cheaper acquisition target elsewhere.
There's a massive intellectual property dispute escalating in the tech sector today.
U.S. artificial intelligence startup Anthropic has formally accused Chinese tech giant Alibaba of illicitly extracting capabilities from its Claude AI model.
Anthropic didn't just file a lawsuit. They detailed the accusations in a letter directly to U.S. Congress members.
That elevates this from a corporate spat to a national security issue instantly.
Yeah, Washington is already hyper-paranoid about China catching up in the AI arms race.
If Alibaba used Anthropic's proprietary data to train their own competing models, the political fallout will be severe.
We could see immediate calls for new sanctions or restrictions on how U.S. AI companies secure their API access.
It highlights just how difficult it is to protect intellectual property when AI models interact with the public web.
In crypto news, Ripple is expanding its footprint in Asia.
Their LUSD stablecoin is officially live in Japan after securing regulatory approval from the Financial Services Agency.
This allows them to offer the stablecoin to both institutional and retail users, which is a major win for their global adoption strategy.
Meanwhile, Binance is reshuffling its European strategy.
They just withdrew their markets in crypto assets license application in Greece.
With a July 1st deadline looming to establish an EU home base, they're pivoting to seek authorization in a different member state to avoid a regional shutdown.
On the tech side, we have some critical security warnings to cover next. Turning to tech, law enforcement agencies just pulled off a massive digital heist of their own.
A coordinated global operation has dismantled the infrastructure behind the Amadei and SteelC malware networks.
The Hacker News reports that authorities recovered 27 million stolen credentials during the takedown.
These info-stealing networks are the lifeblood of the cybercriminal underground. They harvest passwords and sell them to ransomware gangs.
Taking out both Amadei and SteelC simultaneously is a devastating blow to that dark web supply chain.
It forces hackers to rebuild their infrastructure from scratch, which costs them time and money.
It's a huge win for Europol and the FBI, but it's also a reminder of the sheer scale of stolen data floating around.
If your credentials were part of that 27 million, you'll likely get a notification from your security provider soon.
It's a good day to remind everyone to use a password manager and turn on two-factor authentication.
Security hygiene has never been more important.
Speaking of security, enterprise network administrators are having a very bad day.
Threat actors have been exploiting a high-severity, zero-day vulnerability in Cisco Catalyst SDWA and devices.
The flaw, tracked as CVE 2026-2024-5, went undetected for 2 months before public disclosure.
That's a massive window for hackers. The vulnerability allows local attackers to gain root access and execute arbitrary commands.
Once you have root access on an SDWA controller, you essentially own the traffic routing for that entire corporate network.
Cisco has released emergency patches, but the fact that it was actively exploited in the wild is alarming.
Incident response teams are going to be working overtime this week, hunting for indicators of compromise.
If you run Cisco networking gear, patching this needs to be your absolute top priority today.
Apple users are also facing a fascinating and terrifying new threat.
A new Rust-based Mac OS malware named Gaslight has been discovered, and it uses prompt injection to defend itself.
This is wild. It actually sends malicious prompts to the AI-assisted security tools that are trying to analyze it.
It tricks the automated detection systems into classifying the malware as benign software.
We've talked about prompt injection against chatbots, but weaponizing it to blind security software is a massive evolution.
It turns the defenders' AI models against them. Security vendors are going to have to urgently patch their analysis engines.
The cat-and-mouse game between malware authors and cybersecurity researchers just entered a completely new paradigm.
It proves that bolting an AI onto a security product introduces entirely new attack vectors.
In corporate tech, Qualcomm is making a huge play for AI developers.
They've announced an agreement to acquire Modular, the startup behind the highly popular Mojo programming language.
Modular has been building tools specifically designed to make AI development faster and more efficient.
Qualcomm wants to integrate that software expertise directly with their Snapdragon and Edge computing hardware.
It's a direct challenge to NVIDIA's
Bringing the talent behind Mojo in-house gives Qualcomm a real chance to build a
hardware is only half the battle in AI. If developers don't love your software stack, your chips won't sell.
This acquisition shows Qualcomm understands exactly where the bottleneck is.
A quick alert for federal contractors. CISA has warned that a critical code injection flaw in Lantronix EDS 5000 devices is under active exploitation.
Federal agencies have been ordered to apply patches immediately to prevent remote code execution on their networks.
Looking to the stars, NASA's Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope has arrived at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
It's undergoing final processing for its launch, bringing us one step closer to a new era of studying dark energy and mapping exoplanets.
And finally, China is preparing for the debut launch and first-stage recovery attempt of its Long March 10B rocket next month.
Space News points out that a successful recovery would be a massive leap forward for China's reusable rocket technology and their long-term lunar ambitions.
From shifting geopolitical alliances to the rapid evolution of AI malware, the global landscape is changing faster than ever.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take care, everyone.